My only question is, I think it was a 5.
Mr. Pincus, would you repeat that, please?
Where'd he go?
I think he might have dropped out of the
Yeah, it looks
the
like he
meeting.
dropped
Yes.
off.
Okay, let's do
Mr.
this.
Woodson, vote.
Okay, Mr. Tennant, yes, please continue to vote.
City affirmed per the agreement with the $500 fine.
The city affirmed per agreement with $500 fine.
Okay, before we close
City
the vote,
affirmed per agreement with $500 fine.
thank you, Ms. Washington. Before we close the vote, let's see what we need to do to get Mr. Pincus back in on the record. Mr. Wade, do we need to go on to record until this is resolved, or, because I hate not to have this close out.
He's coming in right now.
Oh, yes, okay, thank you.
Leave it up to Ralph, Mr. Chairman.
Well, he's our special board member. Mr. Pincus, you're muted.
My apologies. I voted to affirm the settlement agreement. I was only concerned about the amount that was being paid as a fine.
Okay, all right, thank you. I don't think that was any inquiry, was it, Mr. Pincus, or are you okay with the vote?
I'm okay with the vote. City affirmed per agreement.
Okay, thank you. All righty, Ms. Gauss?
And that concludes my list. I believe my colleague, Mr. Reuter, has an update as well.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Reuter?
Hi, this is Leonard Reuter for the city of Philadelphia. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yes, I believe Harry Cook has a request for a continuance. The city doesn't oppose the request.
Well, which number and address is that?
It's HA Harry Cook here for appellant, HA 2022-00323.
What address is that?
The address is, just a moment. Hold on just a second.
2101 South 11th Street.
Correct.
That is correct. 2101 South 11th.
Okay, and there's a request for continuance, both parties, or who's the moving party in this?
I'm the moving party, Mr. Chairman.
Already.
And
You
thank
requested
you.
a continuance.
Yes, sir.
What is the reason for the continuance? request?
Sure. So we filed this appeal back, I think, in end of February of 2022. Concurrently, we also filed for equitable relief in court. It involves the revocation of a tobacco license. That revocation was based on a few CVNs that we have aired were not sent or processed on appeal, etc. According to the court order, we had 10 days to file appeals for 2 of those CVNs. We did so. We are still waiting on adjudication. If those are adjudicated and dismissed, then this appeal is moot. If they are adjudicated and affirmed, then we would like to fight that battle here.
Okay, all right, thank you. So we'll continue that matter then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
The
you.
city opposed, Mr. Rhoda, I assume the city's okay
Yeah,
with that continuance?
Yeah, we're not opposing the request. If the board grants it, that's fine. That's fine with us.
Okay,
As far as the timing of when it comes back, unfortunately, I don't think we can give you an approximation of when Office of Administrative Review will do their thing. But I would imagine at least 60 days, probably.
okay,
Yeah.
all right. Well, we'll work that out when they get to that point then. Okay,
Okay.
Thank you so much.
And just to let the board know, Dejanay Davis has also, I believe, a request involving a continuance.
okay, Ms. Davis?
Good afternoon, Board. Dejanay Davis on behalf of the city. I want to draw the board's attention to what is listed as number 5 on the list, appeal number HA 2022-004858. The address is 852 North 41st Street. The appellant is Devis Druzy. I may be pronouncing that wrong, my apologies. But I received a continuous request by Council Sean Ward, who's on the call as well, and the city has no objection to that continuous
Okay.
request.
Mr. Ward?
Yes, good afternoon, Chairman Woodson.
Yes,
I represent Davis Juzi, GJUZI. The property is, I believe, 852 North 31st Street.
okay,
And I believe not only do I need time for additional investigation and review, but I believe this matter can probably be resolved without the need for a hearing and taking up valuable board time.
okay, thank you very much. We'll continue this matter.
Thank you.
Okay,
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, that's
Yes,
by
sir.
request of the appellant.
yes, by request of the appellant.
Thank you.
That's correct. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else, Ms. Davis?
Yes, I also want to draw the board's attention to number 13 on the list, appeal number HA 2022-004966. The address in question is 111 South 15th Street. Appellant is M. Schnall and Sons Incorporated. I just wanted, being as though that this is a corporation, I don't see an attorney listed, and I'm not sure if they have an attorney here to represent them with regards to this matter.
Okay, let's call them up then. M. Shaw and Sons Incorporated, 111 South 15th Street. Who's here to represent that issue?
Yeah, John Adams, attorney for M. Stoll & Sons. I did send some stuff into the board on Monday, so
Okay, he didn't get it, so
that's maybe.
would you, just John Adams, is that the name of your firm, sir?
Yeah, it's the John Adams Law Firm.
John Adams Law Firm? Okay. Are you prepared to proceed today, sir?
I am.
Okay. Ms. Davis, are you prepared to proceed?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you. We'll call it in order.
Thank you.
Mr. Adams. Okay. Already?
Chairman
Anything
Woodson,
else? Yes, ma'am.
I apologize. Was Miss Davis done?
Yes, I am.
Yeah,
Or-
okay.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Board. I have the remaining batch of cases on the list.
Okay,
Alexandra Athanasiadis on behalf of the city, and I will just go in order with case number 1.
okay,
HA-2022-004261, address 1851 South 54th Street, appellant Juanita Gibson. That matter is moot.
moot, thank you.
Case number 2, HA-2022-004459, property address 1601 Fairmount Avenue, appellant Mark Telaki. And Mr. Ward is here on that matter. That matter is also moot.
Moot, okay, thank you.
That is correct, Mr. Chairman, and thank you very much, Alexandra. Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome. Case number 3, Chairman Woodson, HA-2022-004662, 2645 South Alder Street, appellant Miguel Espinoza. The city is prepared to move forward on that matter.
Oh, okay, so that one is moving forward, okay.
Yes. Case number 4, HA-2022-004558, 5411 Market Street, appellant Kyle Morris. That matter is moot.
Moot, thank you.
Case number 7, HA-2020.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Yes,
I have, for some odd reason, moot comply.
okay, just for the record, Ms. Athanasiadis, we just moved to moot complied.
Let me double check. I apologize, Chairman Woodson. That is moot complied.
Moot complied, okay,
Thank you,
Ms.
Mr. Washington.
Yeah.
Case number 7, HA-2022-004449, 3225 North 29th Street, appellant Jerome Jones. That matter is moot.
Moot, okay, thank you.
Case number 9, HA-2022-004397, 4224 Brown Street, appellant Daniel, I might mispronounce, Nugent. That matter is moot.
Moot, thank you.
Case number 10, HA-2022-004546, 5724 Dunlop Street, appellant Beverly Cardwell. That matter is moot.
Moot, thank you.
Case number 12.
I believe Ms. Cardwell is on this, on the screen right now.
She's muted. Ms. Beverly Cardwell, unmute yourself. Ma'am, did you understand what was just read? And for the record?
I heard you say that when it was moot, that means that it's solved
Yes.
or resolved, or is that?
Yes.
Okay, but so how will I know how it was resolved?
Okay, something's happening with your screen, but
I know, I
I
can't, I know, it's been doing that for a couple of days. I can't change it. I don't know how to
Okay.
fix that.
okay, let's do this. Ms. Athanasiadis, is there anyone she can connect with just to get a more detailed explanation of the outcome?
Ms. Cardwell, I can put my email address in the chat and you can send me an email.
Okay.
And that also has my phone number, or you could give me a call in the office and I'll be happy to explain to you.
Okay, and you'll put that in the chat.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Excuse me, can everybody who's moot do that as well?
Okay, I'm not sure who's speaking. Whoever speaks, you can't speak without identifying yourself because these matters are being recorded. Who's speaking?
My name is Tiffany Jones.
Okay, Ms. Jones, I don't know if you were here when we began the hearing. I asked everyone to pay close attention. And if your matter is listed, because we have quite a few today, if it's moot or moot compliant, that means it's resolved. It's gone, it's been fixed. You can leave the hearing. If it's continued, that means there will be a hearing date set for the future. If it's withdrawn, that means the city has withdrawn the violation, which makes your appeal moot, okay? So if you hear your name or your address, speak up. We will then further deal with it. You should do that when that is called, okay?
Okay, Mr. Woodson, that's the thing. My address was already called, but I was just trying to, and it was listed as moot.
That means it's done.
But
Now, if you need extra information, then you should connect with the law department or the water department.
with the lady, Miss Alexandra?
Okay. Let's well, actually, probably there should be a Ms. Athanasiadis, given that you're reporting all of these out, do you want to be the person to receive these calls?
No, on the violation notice, both Ms. Cardwell received and Ms. Jones received, there is a contact number on there. And if you call that number, because each department or each division has its own number, that's who can provide you further information.
Is Ms. Cardwell allowed to speak?
No, ma'am, your matter is done. Okay, I'm trying to move
But
on.
but in response.
Ms. Cardwell, wait, Ms. Cardwell, you asked me if you were allowed to speak. And my
Okay,
response was
I'm
no.
not allowed to speak, but that's.
No, because we're moving on.
Okay, but the problem is.
Ms. Cardwell, I said no, you keep talking. Thank you. Ms. Jones, do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, so I guess I'm just gonna call this phone number
Yes,
at
ma'am.
the bottom of this notice.
Yes, but for purpose of this hearing, it's a moot matter, meaning that it's resolved. It's no longer an issue.
Okay, yes, I just wanted to see how it was resolved, so I'll call the number.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, have a good
Ms.
day.
Athanasiadis, do you have
Yes.
anything else? Yes.
Yes, Chairman Woodson, case number 12, HA-2022-004342, 3444 East Street, appellant Maria Valentine. That matter is moot complied.
Thank you, moot complied.
Case number 14, HA-2022-004492, 4304 Cotman Avenue. Yang Wen is the appellant. That matter is moot complied.
Moot complied, thank you.
Case number 15, HA-2022-004566, 1244 North 64th Street, appellant Antonio Mayhew. That matter is moot.
Moot, thank you.
And case number 16, HA-2022-004676, address 5038 Chestnut Street, appellant Rudolph M. Griffin. The city's prepared to move forward on that matter.
Okay, all right, thank you. Alrighty, anyone else? Anyone else representing the law department has any preliminary matters for us? Okay, as we've heard from most of these, let us now proceed to the list so that we can move through it. Okay, Mr. Wade, what do we have first case today?
Case number 3, hearing appeal number HA 2022-004-662-2645 South Alder Street, Miguel Espinosa.
Okay, who's representing the city?
Good afternoon again, Chairman Woodson, Alexandra Athanasiadis on behalf of the city. And the screen you see with the name Dwight Green, that is the city's witness for this matter. It is Mr. Calvin Alexander.
Okay, and what about the appellant, Miguel Espinosa? Miguel Espinosa. Okay, no one's responding to Miguel Espinosa. Anyone here representing the interests of 2645 South Alder Street, ALDER? If you're here and you're muted for some reason and we aren't identifying you, please raise your hand. Please use the icon to raise your hand. Okay, it appears that no one is responding. Mr. Wade was.
Service was made.
Service was made, okay. Ms. Athanasiadis, what is your pleasure?
The city would like a city affirmed, Chairman Woodson, for non-appearance.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Pincus, what time do you have?
1:48 PM.
1:48 PM. Thank you very much. We will poll the board regarding HA-2022-004-662-2645 South Alder Street. Miguel Espinosa, city affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed, non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed, non-appearance.
Thank you very much. That's resolved. Okay, what do we have next, Mr. Wade?
Brings us down to case 13, hearing appeal number HA 2022-004-966, 111 South 15th Street, M. Schnall and Sons Incorporated.
Okay, who's representing the city?
Good afternoon, board members. Dejanay Davis on behalf of the city of Philadelphia.
Okay, thank you. And who's representing the appellant?
John Adams from the John Adams Law Firm for M. Schnall and Son.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Davis, do you have a witness today?
Yes, we do. The city would like to call Jose Figueredo.
Okay, and Mr. Adams, will you have a witness?
I do have a witness, Mr. Bob Granado. He's here.
Okay, if he's present, can you present him so I can get them sworn in at this point?
Bob, unmute your mic. Bob, unmute your mic. Unmute your mic, Bob.
I
Bob
heard
Granado.
you. I got you.
Okay, and the inspector, where is the inspector?
He is, I believe he's coming on now. There he goes.
Mr. Figueredo, would you unmute your mic, please? Gentlemen, please raise your right hand so that you may be sworn. Please raise your right hand. Mr. Figueredo, would you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today be the truth so help you God?
I do. I do.
All right, thank you very much. You place your hands down. We will proceed today. Ms. Davis will present her case, and of course, with the witnesses. Mr. Adams, you will have ample opportunity to cross-examine each witness, and then you will have an opportunity to present your matter and with the corresponding cross-examination. I will ask each attorney to give some closing argument, and then we will call a vote. Understood?
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Ms. Davis?
Thank you. Mr. Figueredo, could you please introduce yourself for the record?
Yes, my name is Jose Figueredo. I'm the manager with Audits and Investigations Unit.
And how long have you been in this position?
A little under a year.
Okay. And are you familiar with the case regarding the property at 111 South 15th Street?
I am.
And how are you familiar with this matter?
So other than a recent review, one of my inspectors goes out. We have a program inspection list, and so he went out to perform an audit at the site.
And did you also have the opportunity to review the public records and L&I records with regards to this property?
Yes, I did.
And would you recognize those if I were to show you here today?
Yes, I would.
Yes. Okay, I'm sorry. Permission to share my screen?
Yes, please.
Mr. Figueredo, can you see my screen?
I can.
Board members, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, let the record reflect that I'm showing Mr. Figueredo what has been previously marked as City's Exhibit 2. Can you tell us what is City's Exhibit 2?
That's a license violation notice that we typically send out to licensees when there's been a violation, notifying them.
Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry. Okay. And are the recordings of this notice kept and stored during the regular course of business?
They are.
And is the notice also kept and stored during the regular course of business?
Yes.
And can you state the responsible party for which this notice of violation was sent to?
M. Snow and Sons Incorporated, Inc.
And can you tell us the date of this notice?
11/23/2022.
And can you also tell the board what the violation was with regards to this notice of violation?
Yes, so it's right there, failure to maintain proper insurance and to provide proof of continued coverage by submitting renewal certificates to the department.
Okay. And now I am scrolling down to what has been marked as City's Exhibit 3. So, do you recognize this exhibit?
I do.
What is it?
That this is a subcontractor list that's required of all contractors on a commercial building permit.
And is this subcontractor list kept and stored during the regular course of business?
It is when the contractor is required to upload the list of contractors, and when we require, sometimes they'll fill out a form like this where they list all the subcontractors.
Okay. So I want to scroll to what is the third page of this exhibit. Can you see that?
Yes, I can.
And I want the record to reflect that this exhibit did not initially have this highlighted portion. This is just highlighted for the purposes of this hearing. Mr. Figueredo, can you state what is highlighted here for the record?
Yes, it's highlighting the subcontractor M. Snow and Sons, Inc. And then it lists information, including the, I believe that's the owner there, Mike Thurman.
Okay, and with regards to these dates here, can you state what these dates are and what they are in reference to?
Right, those dates are listing when their work began and when it ended.
Okay.
With their work.
I am now showing Mr. Figueredo what has been marked as City's Exhibit 4. Do you recognize this?
I do.
And can you explain to the board what we're looking at here?
So that's on our Eclipse system. It's showing the insurance information from the contractor, M. Snow and Sons Incorporated.
Okay. Now I'm going to try to break this down as easy as possible. Can you see my cursor right here?
I can.
Okay. Now, what does it state here as the first highlighted line?
Proof of insurance, general liability.
And can you tell the board the date in which this proof of insurance was uploaded?
It was uploaded December 7th, 2022.
And looking at the third line, can you read this here, what that states?
Proof of insurance, motor vehicle liability.
Can you also inform the board the date in which that document was uploaded?
December 7th, 2022.
And looking at this fifth line, can you read that?
Yes, proof of insurance, workers' comp, and employee liability.
And again, the date in which that document was uploaded?
December 7th, 2022.
And can you also state to the board the date in which all of these documents were essentially approved after they were uploaded?
They were approved, it looks like June 30th, 2022.
I'm sorry, in regards to the uploaded date. This date.
Oh, I'm sorry, February 6th, 2023.
Right, okay. And I want to bring your attention back to Exhibit 2 with regards to this violation. Now, what is, again, can you explain just in a little bit more detail, what is the requirement of a contractor with regards to providing proof of insurance?
So a contractor is required to have insurance by code, but they also are required to have proof provided to the department. So it's not sufficient to just have the insurance. the department has to be made aware and has to have proof provided that that insurance is valid.
And with regards to this particular case, was there proof of insurance provided for the time frame of work that was listed on this, the subcontractor list?
No, proof of coverage was not provided between June 30th to, I believe it was September 16th.
Thank you, Mr. Figueroa. I have no further questions.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Adams, do you have any cross-examination?
Yes, I do. Mr. Figueroa, Stoll and Son was, had a license for the year 2022 from June to June. Is that correct?
I would imagine they would.
Objection relevance.
Well, because I'm going to ask how you get the license, so that's the relevance.
Okay, which license are you referring, Mr. Adams?
The one second here, the contract 3527 contract, this license is granted, this license code 3527.
Well, that's what I'm asking. There's several different licenses that are required. So I just want to know which one you're referring to.
Well, I'm just asking Mr. Figueroa if.
Oh, I know. That's why I'm asking you. There's an objection that's been posed, and I want to rule on that objection. I want to get a sense of what you're asking. So which license are you inquiring about?
License code 3527, license number 27801.
And what's the general description of that license?
You know, your license doesn't show what a general description is. It says contractor 3527.
Okay. All right. Okay.
If I may, I think Mr. Adams is supposed to be directing his questions at testimony provided by Mr. Figueroa, Figueroa, if I'm saying it correctly, and I'm not sure that this was testified to by Mr. Figueroa in his direct testimony. And I think that's what Ms. Davis is objecting to.
Yeah, so the objection let me finish. The objection was posed by Ms. Davis. So I'm going to sustain her objection and ask you to move on. And when you put your case on, you can put on, if you have evidence that supports your side, please do that.
Mr. Whitson, I'm going to object to what
you objected. It's so noted on the record, so please proceed.
I'm making my objection. I'm going to object to tag team. This is where two lawyers go in and then they.
Mr. Adams, this is the board review, and we can be somewhat flexible in the rules. We give everybody an opportunity to present their case so they can be heard completely and fully. So I've made a ruling. I'd ask you to move on.
Okay, but I'm asking you to rule on my objection.
But I moved on and I've sustained her objection, and I noted your following comments. And that's where we are.
Mr. Figueroa, I don't have her document, so could you, the time frame that Stoll did work in there, they had a license for posted with the city for some of that time frame. Is that correct?
I'm going to object again. The basis of this matter has nothing to do with the contractor's license.
They had the insurance, and maybe I said the wrong word.
Could you restate the question? That would probably be better if you restate the question.
The M. Stoll and Son, for part of the time frame, because you said they didn't have it for a certain part, so then they had insurance for part of the time frame. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and are you aware if the insurance that they uploaded covered the remaining time frame?
The insurance that they uploaded?
Yes.
Which insurance are you referring to?
Well, all of them. When they uploaded those insurances in December, okay, those showed that they were covered during the entire period. Isn't that true?
That they showed that they provided in December?
Yes, correct.
Yes, the insurance that they provided in December shows that they had coverage then.
Yes, so they had coverage during the entire time. They just failed to upload. Is that correct?
Failed to provide proof as the code requires.
Yeah. But they had the insurance. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. No further questions.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Davis, any additional witnesses?
No,
Okay.
Chairman.
Mr. Adams, the floor is yours.
Mr. Granado, could you explain who you work for?
M. Schnall and Sons, Inc.
And are they a union contractor?
Yes, we are.
And what kind of contracts do you do?
We just do commercial and light industrial contract. Residential.
That you're a painting contractor, is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. Painting contractor.
In fact, you're the largest painting contractor in the area, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, and have you carried the licenses for the city of Philadelphia to do contracting work for years?
We have.
Okay, and you're currently licensed, isn't that correct?
That is correct.
And every year you upload your insurance that covers the entire year. Is that it covers the insurance you had at the time that you did the license?
That's exactly right.
Right.
We apply for the license, which is generally in renewals, which is generally in February or March. We upload our current insurance certificate.
And when you do a job, say for example, in this job, did you provide your insurance certificate to the general contractor?
We did. We do it for every job. We have to list all their additional insureds. We have to make them a certificate holder, and we give them an insurance certificate before we're able to go on site and work.
Okay. And do you also provide it to the owner?
Usually not directly, only if we're asked to. Usually it's the general contractor that has to put all the insurance information together and provide it to the owner for the owner's representation.
And the failure to simply upload a new insurance after the old insurance was just an oversight, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, I have no further questions.
Okay, Mr. Davis, you have any cross?
Yes, I do. Good afternoon, Mr. Granado.
Good afternoon.
Now, you stated just now that you provided your insurance to the general contractor of the job, correct?
That is correct.
And that's part of the normal process of when you're doing your painting jobs, correct?
That is correct.
And you've been in business for some time, right?
Yes.
And so you know that it is a requirement to provide proof of insurance to the Department of License and Inspection.
No, we've never been told that we've had to do that other than at the time of applying for a license. I've never gotten a notice of any kind that said renewals have to be uploaded on a timely basis. You know, it's just done every year when we renew our license.
So you are aware that you have to upload proof of insurance to the Department of License and Inspections?
I'm aware of that, yes.
And you would agree that with regards to this matter in question, that you did not provide the department with proof of insurance with regards from the time frame from June 30th, 2022 up until you completed the job until December?
That is correct. It was uploaded when we received the violation notice in December.
Okay. I have no further questions.
I have other board members may have questions here, but I just wanted to check in with the Mr. Figueroa. My apologies for mispronouncing your name, sir. How long has it been the practice of the department to request that all identified subcontractors to upload their insurance at the time of commencement of work?
How long? I can't say for sure exactly when that began, but during my entire time working with the department, insurance is always required to be provided.
Okay, I guess the issue though is if a contractor, as Mr. Granado has noted, submits their insurance information annually, whenever they decide to do it, January, December, whatever, and it covers the period of time that they will be working. Is it necessary that they again separately submit an insurance document every time they sign a new job?
It's required to be there just for typical practices within the department. If, for instance, if a contractor has a lapse in their insurance and they're still working,
okay,
there are a number of problems that could be run into, and the only way we have to verify that there's coverage is through the system through which they have to upload the insurance.
Okay, the documents that were on record that had been previously uploaded, I believe, by M. Schnall and Sons Incorporated, what period did they cover? And did they cover the period that was in question here in terms of work being done?
I don't recall exactly. I'd have to look at the insurance document.
Yeah, if I may, Chairman. So the issue here is not that they were not covered for the work that was done. The issue is that they did not provide proof of coverage as they're required by code.
And that's what I'm trying to understand. If they had uploaded the appropriate documents at a particular time, did those uploaded documents cover the period during the time that the work was being done?
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to ascertain. As to now, because whatever they uploaded in December covers a certain period. And so whatever that document says in terms of its termination time covers all work during that time. And it's already in your record now as of December 7th, correct? So whatever was in your record prior to December 7th, what did that show? That's what I'm trying to understand.
Mr. Figueredo, you may, if you can explain to the board what insurance information was provided, what insurance information did L&I have access to during the time frame in which appellant was working at the premises in question?
If I can have a moment just to double check the dates.
Sure, absolutely.
Mr. Chairman, I have this insurance certificates and I can show them on my screen.
Do you have them up? Is that?
Yes, I have them.
And I can also reshare City's Exhibit 4, which shows the effective date and the expiration date in question.
But basically, the insurance will show that there was continuous coverage. There was never a lapse.
Okay.
And we're not arguing whether or not.
But that's what I asked. So I want to hear the answer to that. And you can argue as you choose, but I have a question I want to get answers to. So, Mr. Adams, if you have that information, please put it up. I want to see what the coverage is. And the second question is whether or not that document was ever uploaded to the department.
Okay, so are you seeing?
We're not seeing anything yet.
Yeah, okay. Okay. I just thought I had the insurance document showing it. Okay, here's the insurance document right here. This was the one, and you'll see the effective date is June 30th, 2022 through June 30th, 2023.
Okay, well, just one moment.
That's policy dates, and it shows all the.
Mr. Adams, can you, if I may, can you scroll back up to the top of that document?
Yes.
Which date is 12/7/2022, and that's the Accord of Certificate of Liability, which covers it for the time frame 1 year, 12/7/2022.
Yeah.
Okay, can you scroll back down?
Yeah, as Mr. Granado testified, that when he got the violation, he got a new certificate of liability insurance showing the dates, and the dates are all the same. You should go down.
But we don't have anything yet that was in the record that shows the prior date, because this is December when that was issued.
Yes.
Anything showing that it was issued during the 2022 earlier?
Well, the violation that they're citing is November 22nd, 2022.
The violation, but the work that he was doing was between, was it June and September? No, March and September. Between March and September.
Yes, but
and I'm asking, is there any evidence that shows that that document or something similar to that was on record L&I at the beginning of 2022?
Yeah.
Okay, so this document right here was not on record. It was filed in December.
Okay. I'm asking for stuff that was, but I'm asking for what's on record. That's what I want to see, what you have.
So they filed a certificate when they got their license. It's a requirement when you got your certificate, and it covered the period to June 30th of 2022.
Okay, Mr. Adams, I think the question is this, is whether or not there was any information on record at L&I that covers January through June to 2020, January through December 2022, that was on record.
Yes.
When they started work in March, that was on record. You don't have anything yet to show me that it was on record at L&I.
Just 1 second,
and Mr. Well, let's go back over to Mr. The inspector. He was going to check his records. Sir, what do you have?
Our records has the policy that as it ran up to June 30th of 2022. So after that point, we did not have a record of renewed insurance until 6 months later in December when this new copy was provided. So during the period of June 30th to September 16th, which is during that time period when the work was being performed. On our record, we had no record of no proof of insurance.
Okay,
Mr. Figueroa, am I correct that, and the witnesses testified that?
Your Honor, again, Mr. Chairman, I'm again object to tag teaming. Usually.
oh, this is an inquiry by the board, which Mr. Pickens is a member of the board.
Oh,
He may not have practiced before.
oh, I don't
but
see,
there's four of
I
us who
don't see
get
his
to ask-
name listed as just as
Okay.
Ralph iPad.
Mr.
May I-
Pickens
may
will
I
change
pre-
his name if needed. Please
Yes,
proceed.
go ahead.
May I proceed with my question?
Yes,
Yes.
sir, please.
So it would be my understanding from the testimony that the owner of the company, Schnoll, provided that when they customarily renew their license, you send out a bill in February or January, they send in the fee, in payment for renewal of their license. And at the time they renew their license, they also submit for your records a certificate of insurance saying that they have insurance, and that certificate may or may not be for the entire year because they may or may not pay for their insurance premium on the same dates as their license renews. They may, as it appears to be, have a policy that begins on June 30th of each year. And so they demonstrated when they applied for the renewed license with the department that they had insurance coverage at the time of the license. Is that correct, Mr. Figueroa? That in fact they submitted evidence of insurance at the time that they renewed their license in February of 2022.
They provided insurance, a proof of insurance for up until June 30th of 2022. That is in our system.
Yes, okay, fine. So they didn't, based on the violation that was issued in the testimony today, that they didn't submit evidence that after June 30th, they had renewed their insurance, and they didn't submit to you any certification or other documentation to say they still had insurance, although they did, because this December 7th certification confirms that the insurance was renewed for another year. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And they submitted this new insurance certificate at the same day, the day before they filed the appeal, and within 30 days of receiving the notice of violation. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Adams, do you have any additional witnesses?
No, no, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any other questions from anyone?
Yes, Mr. Figueroa.
Yes.
Is there a specific time frame in which the licensee holder is supposed to submit it to the system of the Department of L&I?
By code, there's no time frame specified other than proof of insurance coverage has to be provided to the department. So
When it expires,
is that, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So at any point, for instance, one of our inspectors goes out and is doing a random audit and shows up on site. If there's no proof there, there's no proof there. So at any given time, and aside from the department, generally insurance proof is required to be provided to the general public.
Okay.
But there's no time frame given between, yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Figueroa, when was the violation written? What day was the violation written?
The November. I'd have to double check when the.
Yeah, I believe that, I'm just checking my notes. I believe it was November 23rd.
Yeah,
That's what it shows in the exhibit packages.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now,
the audit began, it was November 21st. And I believe the notice was sent, it looks like November 22nd is when it was sent.
okay. And you received this insurance certificate in December?
In December
Yeah, you got the letter.
7th is when the insurance was provided.
Yeah, a little over a week later.
Yeah, if I may, for the record,
Yes.
on the license violation notice, the audit occurred on November 22nd and the notice was sent out November 23rd, 2022.
Okay, and so, and the response back is, okay. Now, is there any, Mr. Figueroa, is there any sense in your department that there's been a history of non-compliance by the firm?
I can't say one way or the other. Not that I recall.
Okay, all right, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, thank you. If there isn't anything from anyone else, what I'd like then to ask Mr. Adams and Ms. Davis, if you can have any final argument, and then we will call this for a vote, okay?
Yes.
And we'll start with Mr. Adams.
Okay, as I previously said, and as Mr. Granado testified to, International and Sons are the largest painting contractor in the area. They're a good union contractor. They do business for the city and they do business for most of the general contractors around here. They've had a license to be a contractor in Philadelphia for years. They have and they've always had insurance and they've always done this. I view this as a technical violation in the sense they had the insurance and they did post it as soon as they realized that they had to. And as Mr. Granado testified to, he did not realize that he had to post it as soon as he got it. But I want to point out the absurdity of this of the town of the city's position. So if you go again back to their insurance, so they're doing work from March, basically from March 2022 to the end of to November. And they get their insurance renewed on June 30th. Okay. If they don't load that document by July 1, they're in violation. And I would bet you there is nobody in the city, no contractor that does that. Okay. It files that form within seconds of the day ending in their license going on. And so again, I view this as a technical violation. They had the insurance, they gave it to the contractor. There's no issue or safety to the public. You know, I would ask that there be no fine or that a fine be minimal, maybe $50 or $100, because again, this is a technical violation. Instone has tried to do everything right. It carries the insurance it needs. It tries to be a responsible contractor, you know, in this matter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Davis?
Yes, first I would like to remind the board that they have no jurisdiction to set the fines that are at issue with regards to this matter. As Mr. Adams has stated, you know, M. McShnall and Sons Incorporated is one of the largest painting contractors in the city, and therefore they are a sophisticated organization and are very much aware of the code provisions that they must adhere to. And this is one of those provisions that they have failed to adhere to. The basis of these appeals is to determine whether or not at the time that the appeal was issued, were the violations valid? And here that was the case. We're not here arguing whether or not they had insurance. We're arguing here that they failed to upload their insurance as proof of insurance to the Department of License and Inspections from the time of June 30th, 2022 until the time they completed the job in September 2022. And with that, while I understand Mr. Adams' point, and technical error does not excuse their responsibility to adhere to the code. Even then, the violation went out November 23rd, 2022, and even then, they still hadn't provided the Department of License and Inspections with the required proof of insurance. And I don't know what other jobs they were doing without such requirement. And for those reasons, the city will be asking for a city affirm.
Okay, thank you very much. Having heard the testimony from the witnesses and closing arguments, we will call the vote on HA.
Mr. Chairman, may I
Yes, sir.
ask that we have an executive session for a moment?
Sure. Okay. All right. Thank you. Based on request from Mr. Pincus, we will go into executive session. We will be off the record until 2:27. 2:37. Mr. Adams and Ms. Davis, if you would unmute yourself. The board has taken considerable amount of time, a bit more than we anticipated, to review the facts of this issue. And it is not a simple matter to resolve. Everybody has aggressively argued their positions. But the board does have a quick statement to make, a short statement to make before we take the vote. One, violations of any sort, all violations are technical violations, if it's in a violation of the code. And we're required and held to a standard reading the code very closely. To be concerned about any amount of fines that may be levied as per violation really should be taken up with the tax review board. It's not within the jurisdiction of this body to make a determination as to the amount of a fine. It's all of whatever's allowed or permitted by the code itself. And so regardless of how any of us individually may believe a fine is appropriate or not appropriate, that's really for the LNI itself to assess, and for the appellant, such as the Schnall painting, to appeal to the tax review board if you feel an assessment or amount is excessive. So that's not part of what we're discussing today. So the decision we're making today is whether or not the case presented by the city represents an appropriate application of the code in terms of providing notice of insurance at the appropriate time. So we call the vote on HA-2022-044. My apologies, strike that. 2022-004-966, 111 South 15th Street, M. Schnall and Sons Incorporated, City affirmed.
City affirmed.
City affirmed.
City affirmed.
City affirmed.
The vote is unanimous, city affirmed. Mr. Davis, thank you for your participation, Ms. Davis. You, of course, Mr. Davis, Mr. Adams, have every right and authority to appeal our decision should you choose to do that. Thank you very much for your participation.
Mr. Chairman, before I be dismissed, may I move to have cities exhibits 2, 3, and 4 admitted into evidence?
Yes, ma'am, you may do that. They're admitted. Mr. Adams, you have any exhibits to be admitted?
Yes, I previously provided them. I believe they were, I just dropped them down. I think there was exhibits 1 through 5, but let me just pull them back up. I will, there are a lot of the same exhibits she had.
Okay, just for the record, I want to know if you had any. I want to make sure everyone's exhibits are admitted for the record. Okay.
Thank you. That concludes my business. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am. And Mr. Your inspector is also permitted. He can be excused as well. Mr. Adams, thank you. Mr. Granado, thank you very much. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Okay, what do we have next?
Our final case, case number 16, hearing appeal number HA 2022-004-676, 5038 Chestnut Street, Rudolph M. Griffin.
Okay, who's representing the city?
Good afternoon, Chairman Woodson, Alexandra Athanasiadis on behalf of the city.
Good afternoon, Ms. Athanasiadis. Who's representing the appellant? Anyone present representing the appellant?
Mr. Griffin is here, but I believe, Mr. Griffin, if you could unmute yourself, sir.
There should be an unmute button in the top right corner. There you go. Mr. Griffin? Oh, we can't hear you, sir. Okay, make sure your volume is up as high as it can be, because we can't hear you. That isn't working. Let's do this. Mr. Wade, if either you or Mr. Marrero can call him and see if there's a way to have a conversation with him.
Okay.
So he also called in. So that's why he's on here twice.
Oh, yes.
I just wanted him to have his image on here.
Okay, so maybe Mr. Griffin, if your telephone that can be unmuted, can you unmute that telephone?
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Okay, let's do this. Can you talk through your telephone, but keep your image up on the screen?
I can talk, but now I can't see nothing.
Okay, all right. Mr. Griffin, raise your right hand and we will assume that you're doing that. Do you swear or affirm the
Yes, ma'am.
testimony you give
Yes, sir.
today be the truth to help you God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Athanasiadis, are you okay with proceeding in this fashion?
Yes, I have no objection, Chairman Woodson.
Okay, thank you. We're going to proceed. All right, thank you.
Good afternoon, board. This case is before the board, as Mr. Rudolph M. Griffin is appealing a notice of defect that was served on November 1st, 2022 for the property located at 5038 Chestnut Street. The deed lists Mr. Griffin as the property owner. The Philadelphia Water Department was on site on that block pertaining to a service request that came in from the Department of Streets regarding a cave-in at the location. On November 1st, 2022, a dye test was done in a cave-in and dye was shown in the sewer through a defective lateral at Mr. Griffin's property address. The notice of plumbing defect was issued that day. Re-inspections occurred on November 19th, 2022, December 6th, 2022, and most recently on February 23rd, 2023, and repairs had not been made. And the city will be calling Mr. Calvin Alexander as its witness.
Okay, Mr. Alexander, you present to be sworn?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
Top left. Top
raise
left.
your right hand, please. Okay. Yeah. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you give today be the truth so help you God?
I do.
All right, thank you. You can place your hand down.
Thank you. Mr. Alexander, could you please state and spell your name for the record?
Calvin Alexander, CalvinAlexander.
And by whom are you employed?
Philadelphia Water Department,
And how long have you been an employee of the Philadelphia Water Department?
14 years.
And what is your current job title, sir?
I'm a crew chief.
And what are your responsibilities as a crew chief?
I take the exam crew out for sewer maintenance, and we go to different job sites as far as cave-ins, depression, leak in the street, anything dealing with sewer maintenance, including house inspections.
Okay. And how long have you been a crew chief?
I've been a crew chief for 8 years.
And what was your job title prior to becoming a crew chief?
I was an inspector.
Okay. And were you an inspector for the remaining 6 years of your term with PWD?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And what were your responsibilities as an inspector?
As an inspector, we did a dye test. We made sewer inspections. We go down in the sewer, check laterals. We go in homes, check for sewage in homes when they call, say they have water in the basement. We go check that, and that's about it.
And is it fair to say you've issued notice of defects both as an inspector and as a crew chief?
That's correct.
Okay. I'm going to direct your attention, sir, to what's previously been marked as City Exhibit 1. Are you familiar with the address of 5038 Chestnut Street?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And how are you familiar with that address?
I was there when the day of the testing.
Okay. And you were the crew chief on that day?
I was the crew chief.
Okay. And do you see my screen, sir?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And is this how the request came known, or you went out to the site of 5038 Chestnut Street? Was this a request that was received by PWD?
Yes, it
Just
is.
one moment. Ms. Athanasiadis, would you mind magnifying that a bit, please,
Oh, sure, Chairman.
for these old eyes?
Give me 1 second. Okay.
It should be a Zoom function.
There, I'm trying to get it. Give me a second. I think I need to move. If I can move this. Here we go. My apologies for the delay. Is this better, Chairman Woodson, or more?
That's about the same. That zoom
Okay.
function to the left there, if you just go to that magnifying glass, no. Go up to the top, the magnifying glass, and click on that. There you go. Yeah, click on that. Okay,
Is that
that's better. That's
Okay.
better.
Okay. And is this the service request that you received, Mr. Alexander, from initiated by the Department of Streets
Yes, it is.
regarding a cave-in?
Yes,
Okay, and the address pertained to 5041 Chestnut Street, is that correct?
yes,
Okay, and is that what led you to the 5000 block of Chestnut Street?
yes, it is.
Okay. Now, I'm going to show you another record, and that's the notice of defect that you were present for that was issued.
That's
And this
correct.
And this has been marked as City Exhibit 2. Do you see what I have on the screen, Mr. Alexander?
No, not yet. You have to move it up. You're still on the work order.
Okay, how about now?
Your document hasn't changed. It's still the
It's
same.
still the same.
On my screen, it changed. Give me a second. Okay, let's try this again. Okay. Do you now see the NOD, Mr. Alexander?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And when is a notice of plumbing defect issued?
November the 1st, 2022.
And when do you create these notices to give to property owners?
The same day we do the dye testing.
Okay. And the date you already said was November 1st. And what was the address that was issued this NOD?
5038 Chestnut Street.
Okay, and I'll point you to the middle of the document. Well, you were the crew chief on that day, is that correct? C.
Yes.
Alexander?
Yes,
And the inspector was an R. Thornton?
yes,
Okay, and a dye test was done, and dye was placed in the cave-in, is that correct?
yes,
And then dye was shown in the sewer through a defective lateral?
yes.
Okay, and can you explain to the board, please, what is a dye test?
Okay, dye test, when we come on a location, we look for whatever the work order is for. It could be a depression or a cave-in. In this case, it was a cave-in. So now we had to perform a dye test. We dye test the cave-in with water and dye. And then if it shows in the sewer, now we physically send an individual inspector down to investigate. Once he investigates, finds the dye and tracks it down, whether it's coming through the sewer itself or lateral, he would yell back to one of us standing at the manhole that he found a defect to check this location, like far as a house. It could be one above 538, or it could be one below 538. So we can decide which actual house the lateral belongs to. You have another individual up top at the vent pipe that's on the sidewalk. We do one first and we do the third one first, because the one in the middle is our actual problem. So we dye test the first one. Whatever color is placed inside the cave-in, we use a different color on the sidewalk. If they mix together, then it's called a defect. If it don't mix and it just comes straight out the color that we're using on the surface, which is be the footway, if it comes straight out, that's not the problem. Then he'll say, move up one. We dye test that one, and that color mixes with the color that's inside the cave-in. That is our problem, because they join together, coming through that one line system. And that's where we find the defect. And then he comes back and then we check to make sure he has the right one. Because you'll see the color that mixed together on the surface itself. And that's how we say, okay, this house, this address is the one that has the defect when he comes out of the sewer, he or she.
So if there's a mixing of the colors, that would indicate that there's a defect at that particular property.
That's correct.
Okay. And what is a lateral?
A lateral is connected to the drain system from inside your home. That part of the sewer line or your sewer drain system that comes out of your house connects directly to the sewer itself. And it allows sewage and everything to pass through to our sewer so to go to the proper place.
And what is the danger of having a defective lateral?
If you have a defective lateral, like separations, cracks, or anything like that, it would cause a depression, either in the street or to be on the sidewalk, or it could be on your steps. It could be in your yard. You'll start seeing like a depression, like an indentation. And if it's not fixed right away, it becomes a cave-in, which is a hole in the street. So a car can go in it. Someone can step in and not seeing it. And it just gets bigger if it's not corrected in a timely fashion.
And that's what ultimately led you to this particular, the 5000 block of Chestnut Street. It was a cave-in, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And who's responsible to maintain their laterals in good working order?
That would be on a homeowner. Anything coming out of the home, as far as piping, drain system, it all belongs to the homeowner. The sewer itself belongs to the city.
Okay. And is that why this NOD was issued to property owner Rudolph Griffin?
That's correct.
And was a copy of this notice of defect left at the property on November 1st, 2022?
Yes, he will receive the top copy, which is white. The rest comes back to our unit.
Okay. Now, I want to direct your attention to what's previously been marked as City Exhibit 3. Okay. And do you see my screen, Mr. Alexander?
Yes.
Okay. And this is the second or a page in the notice of defect that's left at the property?
Yes.
Okay.
That's all one page.
Okay.
Just front and back.
Front and back. And here, letter E is checked off.
Yes.
And letter E indicates lateral piping connecting house drain to public sewer, correct?
Yes.
And that is, as you testified, the owner's responsibility to maintain.
Yes.
Okay. One second, sir. Now I'm going to direct your attention to what's previously been marked as City 1. And it's just page 4 of City 1. And a reinspection occurred, is that correct?
Yes.
And you didn't perform the reinspection, correct?
That's correct.
But based on this record, and is this a record that's kept in the normal course and scope of business of PWD?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And this comment, a reinspection was done on February 23rd, 2023. Is that correct?
Yes.
And does it indicate that repairs were made to the defective lateral?
No repairs were made.
Okay. So as we sit here today, the lateral remains defective, correct?
Yes, according to that.
Okay. And I also showed you a document that had been provided by appellant, or you reviewed rather a document that had been provided by the appellant. Do you recall that? I'm going to pull that up for you. This plumbing report, do you recall reviewing this in the documents I provided?
Yes.
And based on this report, does this report in any way change your testimony or opinion as to whether or not the lateral remains defective?
No, it doesn't change anything.
Okay. And why do you believe that the lateral remains defective, contradicting what's indicated in this report?
If they didn't do the testing as far as the plumbing in a timely manner, like within a certain amount of days, the earth will resettle around the lateral. So you won't see anything defective, I'm sorry, through the camera itself. You won't see it.
Okay. I have no further questions, sir.
Okay, let's see here. Mr. Griffin, do you have
sir.
any questions of Mr. Alexander, the inspector, based on his testimony? Now, you will have an opportunity to, get put on your case in a minute, but do you have any questions of him based on what he said so far?
Pretty much, he said I have a cave-in in front of my house.
Okay, do you have
There
any
is no
questions of
cave-in.
him? I said, do you have
No,
any
I don't.
questions of him? Okay, all right, thank you. If there are no additional witnesses for the city, would then pass it on to Mr. Griffin to present his.
Can I ask a
understanding.
question?
Yes,
Can I ask
sir.
a question of
Please.
the inspector?
Yes.
I guess I have two questions. Number one, the report from the streets department that requested an inspection said the cave-in was at 50, 39, or 41, which seems to me to be the other side of the street. I just wanted to confirm, because the address of Mr. Griffin is 5038, that the location doesn't necessarily have to be directly over or next to the property that you're citing? Because, am I right? This appears to be a hole in a cave-in on the other side of the street.
Yes. At that time, it was a cave-in. If they said it's on the other side of the street, which would be 41, 39, it don't necessarily have to mean that 39 and 41 have an issue. They can report it, and then when we get there and do our testing, it can show way across the street in someone else's property, and that's probably what happened.
All right. And then the second question is, I'm looking at this Goodman Plumbing report. It said camera lateral from curb trap, camera out to city sewer, joint before sewer. But it doesn't say that they didn't find or did or didn't. It just said they camera inspected. Am I right? It doesn't say what their findings were.
No, it didn't say that, no. But we found that the lateral was defective because through the dye test and flooding the cave-in with a bunch of water. So water finds its way and it pushes the dye wherever it wants to go. And that's how we found it.
And you're saying that a camera may or may not, if you just push the camera through the lateral, it may or may not show that there's a break in the pipe. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Griffin,
Yes,
do
sir.
you have any information you'd like to share with us?
So there's no cave-in on my property. I had a camera put in, guy gave me a video showing that there's no crack there. He first sent me a paper out, said it was a crack in section E. Then he sent me another paper after I told him I had a camera set up in there that shows no markings at all on the other side.
Okay, who are you
I've
referring
called down
to?
there many times trying to talk to somebody, for somebody to come out again. Nobody did.
Okay, Mr. Griffin, who are you? You said someone had a camera down. Is that the plumber that the plumber
Yes, sir.
reported? Now, who else? You said you had some more film taken by someone else?
That's the only, he came out and the camera in for me. I wanted to double check because my paper said I had a cave-in and there's no cave-in on my property.
But not on the street though.
So I
Is there
called
caving on, was there caving on the street somewhere?
Cave-in is across the street from my house. On the
Okay.
other side, they have a cave-in.
Yeah, that was
On the other
clarified.
side of the main.
Yeah, that was clarified, yes. Okay, so the cave-in happened on your block, across from your house. You had a plumber come out and put a camera down, and your plumber said he couldn't find anything, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, did you have any other investigation done?
So I had done. The city guy came out, he looked at it, he said the same thing. I don't remember
Okay,
the
who was
guy's
that?
name.
When did that happen?
I called down to make some kind of arrangement just in case things were going on, because I couldn't get to understand from anybody. Every time I called, they said somebody called me back. Nobody would call me back to talk to me.
Okay,
So
so who
at some
eventually
point-
came out?
It was the guy come out. I can't think of his name, to be honest with you. And
When did he come out?
it must be around, I think, November. I think it was around November he came out.
2022?
Yes, sir.
And what did he say to you when he came out?
He gave me his personal opinion. Personal opinion was that I shouldn't get this done because that's no problem that you see right there.
What is it that he was saying that you shouldn't do?
As far as my cameras, the video I showed him, he was said I shouldn't get it done. I should wait.
Wait for what?
Fight this. Wait and fight this because there's no crack there. It showed my camera shows no crack.
Okay.
First, he said there was a crack in section E. I had the camera go down it, when the camera through there, it looked real good. There's no crack there.
Wait a minute, Baker, you give me two contradictory statements. He said first he showed a crack in, let me finish. At first he showed a crack in section 8, and then he or someone else took another look and they didn't see anything. Is that what you're saying?
No, sir. The first paper he sent me said it was a crack in section E.
Okay.
That was marked with his paper.
Okay.
The camera went down and showed there was no crack there. Once I called them back and told them what my camera report said, they sent me another paper with no markings at all on it.
Okay, now what paper is that? Is that who sent you that paper?
Alexander. His
I'm
group.
saying, what is that, the plumber or the
They
city?
sent both papers. They said the city. Sent
So you
both
have
papers.
something, wait a minute. Well, you have something, you have a document from the city of Philadelphia that says you do not have a defect.
No. It didn't say that. It didn't say it was no defect. I'm just saying the second paper he showed me, he has no markings on it where the defect was, like the first paper. That only happened after I told them I had a guy come out, run a camera in there, and was no crack. Then they sent me another paper out, the same paper, everything's the same except for in the back where it was markings on it. There was no markings on it at all.
Okay, did you send that in with your,
Yes, I did. I sent a
Appeal?
copy of it also. Yes, I did.
okay. Ms. Athanasiadis, do we have that?
I do not, Chairman Woodson. Oh, I believe what Mr. Griffin might be referring to is the notice that ultimately goes out from customer field service, the typed copy of the notice of defect.
Okay,
That is sent out sometime after the initial handwritten copy is provided.
okay,
And I believe on that diagram, they didn't check anything off on the diagram itself, but it has the same information on page 1 relating to a defective lateral, the die was placed in the cave-in, everything else is the same.
okay. Do you have that available? Okay, Could you
Yes,
share
I
your
can
screen?
pull that up, sure.
Yes.
Give me a quick second.
Mr. Griffin, can you see what you're putting up on the screen?
Yes, I'm about to share it.
No,
Chairman.
actually, Mr. Griffin, can he see?
I
that?
can't see nothing at all on my phone.
Oh, okay. Well, the board would like to see it if you can.
Yes, I
I
can.
just want to understand, Mr. Griffin, what documents you're referring to.
Okay, Chairman Woodson, this is what I received from Mr. Griffin. This is
Okay.
the handwritten notice of defect. This is where Mr. Alexander or Mr. Thornton checked off E the day they
Right.
served the notice,
Right.
defective lateral. Then, as Mr. Alexander stated, that's only one copy of the NOD. They bring it back, customer field service mails out a copy of they type up the information for the notice of defect. And I think what Mr. Griffin may be referring to is they didn't check anything off on the diagram
Ah, okay.
on page 2. However, the information regarding the defect is listed, remains on page 1.
Okay. Mr. Griffin, did you hear that?
But they, after I called them
No,
and
Mr. Griffin,
spoke
did
to
you,
them,
Mr. Griffin?
yes,
yeah,
I
just
did hear
follow.
that. Yes, I did.
Okay. Now compare page 1 to both documents and see if they're the same. Do you have them handy?
I do right in front of me.
Okay, they're the same, other than one's typed and the other one's handwritten?
Yes, they are.
Okay, all right.
But then I don't see handwritten.
Well, the first one you got
They're
was
both-
handwritten by the inspector.
Well, these are both typed up though. You see handwritten.
Yeah, one is
These are
handwritten,
both
meaning
checked
that
off
you.
with ink pen.
Mr.
Mine are both, you said handwritten.
Yes, Mr. Griffin, you faxed these documents to me, the page 2 of your packet. I understand you can't see my cursor, but the service address, date of notice, those are written with pen by hand. They are
Okay, I
not.
see that. I see that one. Yes, it
Yes.
is.
Okay, all right, so where we are now, Mr. Griffin, you do believe, based on that camera search, you don't believe that you have a defect. And so, but the city's
Okay.
position is that you do have a defect based on the person who crawled the sewer and saw the dye test. So that's essentially where we are. Am I summing it up accurately?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so as the homeowner in this instance, your plumber, did you attempt to have your plumber meet anyone from the city at the site?
No, I didn't.
Okay, Ms. Athanasiadis, I know we've had this discussion in the past. Is it possible to his plumber comes back and does an excavation to uncover the sewer lateral?
Chairman Woodson,
Uh,
I don't know if it's possible because the cave-in, I don't know what the status of the cave-in is. There was a cave-in that they were able to test when they went out there. And as Mr. Alexander testified, things shift. There may have been repairs made, so there is no longer actually a cave-in to be able to perform another dye test. And the other thing I would just point out is the report itself doesn't say that Mr. Griffin himself provided, doesn't say that there is no problem with the lateral, there is no defect. All it says was that there was a camera put into the lateral from something camera out to city sewer. It doesn't reference that there isn't an actual defect
Okay,
or
Mr.
that the
Chair,
lateral is in good working order.
yes.
Mr. Chair,
Mr.
if I
Tennant,
may.
yes.
Mr. Alexander, dye test is performed, it doesn't necessarily need to be a cave in there. That dye test is performed in this case with properties involving probably 5038, 39, and 41. You're pouring it into the main shutoff water valve from the curb, correct?
Well, it'll be the vent pipe.
The
on the
vent
curb.
pipe, okay, the vent
Yes.
pipe on the curb. So necessarily, if the cave-in has been remediated, you can still perform a dye test, correct?
It won't show that there's a defect inside of the lateral. It won't show that. It'll go straight out.
Okay,
The cave-in is
So-
above, it was above the laterals. That's how you find it. So once the water finds its way, it's coming through something like a crack, or it could be a small separation. If they have old system, which is terracotta pipe, those are put
Correct.
together.
yes,
If it's cast iron, that's one solid pipe.
right,
So
that's the newer type.
right, he probably saw coming through a terracotta pipe, which is in sections.
Correct,
Once they slip or get disturbed, now water will find its way in there. we only can see 2 to 3 lengths in.
So in this case, the streets department closing up the cave-in kind of took away your opportunity to detect whether or to verify. In this case, what we're trying to do to verify now whether which property 38, 39, or 41 has a defect. But you're
Yes.
going based upon the first testing, correct?
That's correct.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I have a question for
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Griffin. Mr. Griffin, who told
Yes,
you
sir.
there wasn't any crack?
First plumber, the plumber I bought came out, he said that. The second guy, the guy from the city that came out, he didn't say it was a crack. He actually really said that on my paper, well, I guess he saw the cave in, he said, that's no problem, your property looks good here. I don't see
All right,
nothing
well,
wrong.
I have a follow-up question then.
Yes,
Where's
sir.
the report that the plumber gave you that stated that there wasn't a crack or there wasn't a defect? Where's the report that the plumber gave? Because the paper that you turned, excuse me, the paper that you turned into us doesn't mention anything. That's why I want to know, where's the report, not the video, because you did not submit a video. Where's the report that stated that there's no defect?
I don't have one saying that, sir.
Okay, and you didn't turn in a copy of the camera from Goodman Plumber, right? The tape from Goodman Plumber, right?
I sent what they asked, they told me to send.
No, you supposed to.
I told them what I had.
Excuse me. This is your case, and we're trying to and you're trying to prove your case. If you're trying to prove your case, you're stating that there was no crack, and you also stated that you called the plumber out who did a camera. And so I'm just trying to find out from you, where's the report that states that, or even the film that shows there's no crack?
And I'm trying to explain to you, when I called and they told me what to send.
No. I'm asking you about the information that
wait a minute, gentlemen.
I'm trying to be clear about the information that you were supposed to turn in. That's all.
But, Mr. Griffin, because we have a court reporter who's recording every word that's uttered on this this film,
Yes,
on
sir.
this call,
And when
you have to wait until the other person who's speaking stops, even if you.
Well, you don't allow people to speak.
I'm not sure who Beverly Caldwell.
yes,
Please mute.
Could we mute Ms. Caldwell?
Yeah, they took care of it.
Thank you.
So,
Mr. Griffin, just finally, so we do not.
Ms. Washington, just
you don't want me to talk. I'm telling.
Mr. Griffin, all we're asking is that just be patient and allow the other person to complete. Because you are not on camera, we can't see you and you can't see us. So you have to be patient and let the other person finish. Then you can respond to them, okay?
Yes, sir.
No.
Okay.
You don't want nobody to talk.
Mr. Wade.
I can remove
just
her if you'd like.
Yeah, take her out completely.
Okay.
Her case has been resolved.
It's
Okay, Mr. Griffin, is your Mr. Washington, the two of you engaged in a question and answer.
And you stated that you didn't turn in the film because that wasn't requested of you. And all I was just trying to say is you're trying to win your case. Whatever you have to help you win your case, I think that you should have turned that in to the city to be considered. Mr. Chair, I have no more questions.
Okay, thank you. I guess I do. Does anyone else have any questions?
I do.
Yes.
So there was an inspection performed about a week ago or less on the 23rd of February. And I think Ms. Athanasiadis said that the streets department has repaired the cave-in. We don't know exactly when that was done, but if it was done a while ago, and if in fact there's still a leak, wouldn't the cave-in reappear? And would that have been, or could it have been observed on the date of the re-inspection, February the 23rd? Unless the cave-in was filled within the last month or so, it would reappear, would it not? Now, this is a question from Inspector Alexander.
It wouldn't reappear right away. It'll take a few years before it shows back up.
Years?
Yes.
Years? Wow.
Well,
Go ahead, Mr. Pincus.
well, I guess the other question is, how do you know that it hasn't, that other than maybe there wasn't a plumbing permit taken out, how did you determine that the lateral wasn't repaired when you went out on the 23rd?
That wasn't me. I didn't go out on the 23rd.
Well, someone went out from the water department, correct?
That'll be customer service. They do the reinspection. We do the initial inspection. They do the reinspection.
Well, I guess I'm trying to figure out if the hole in the street was covered over, right? And Mr. Griffin is saying he had a camera that showed there was no defect. And you said in your testimony that if the dye was just thrown in from the curb trap or the vent, that wouldn't necessarily pick up whether or not there was a leak. So I'm trying to understand how someone was able to determine on February 23rd that there was still a leak or a problem, or that the problem hadn't been corrected.
If the problem was corrected, the street would have been dug up by the plumber and not fixed by the street department.
All right.
That's how we'll know if if it was corrected or not.
Okay, Mr. Alexander, I have a question. The sequence of Philadelphia Water Department and Streets Department, once it's noted from them that there is a cave-in and Water Department goes out and does the testing on the normal, and correct me if I'm wrong, the policy is the Streets Department does not go back out and do the fill-in and rectify and clear up the street until they get approval from the Water Department that the situation has been rectified, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so in this case, Mr. Griffin's property, in this case, he's saying that the cave-in has been filled in and you're stating the same thing. So what report did the Water Department give to Streets Department to trigger them to go out to say, all clear and you can repair the street? Did one come from your department?
I'm not sure. I'm just the crew chief. That's a little above my pay grade. But once I bring back my report, they put it in the system and there's time allotted to the homeowner if it's on the homeowner. If they get it fixed, then streets will not come and repair the streets until that's done by the plumber.
Right.
And then once we get the information saying it's complete, then they send it back to highway or streets department. And then they go from there. But other than that, I'm not too sure.
Okay. Thank you. No more.
Okay, thank you. So we have two different understandings of the circumstance here, whether or not there is an issue. Mr. Griffin believes that his plumber's evidence suggests that there is no problem. The Streets Department the Water Department stands by its position that there's a defect. Mr. Griffin, it would be probably good to have your plumber come back and do some additional testing or different testing, or maybe even excavate the pipe.
Mr. Chair, could I request an quick executive, if you don't mind, very briefly?
Okay, all righty.
Thank you.
Based on request, we're going to go off the record for about 3 minutes. Mr. Griffin, hold on for a moment. We're going to go into executive session. We'll be right back with you, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, to go back on the record. Mr. Griffin, after
Yes, sir.
deliberation of this case, I think this is where we are. The board is also sympathetic to your issue, but also know that we must defer wherever necessary, wherever appropriate, to the city's findings that presented by Ms. Athanasiadis. But this is what we want to do. We're going to continue the case, and in the interim, we want you to call your plumber to get additional film, if need be, that shows yes or no if you have a defect, and have that plumber in writing tell you whether or not you have a defect. And we'll recall the case.
$300 more. That's
Well,
$300 more.
Mr. Griffin, that's where we are. because we have to take the information that you said you had. We're going to give you an opportunity to submit that information. If you have it, please submit it. If you choose not to, you can choose not to and just submit the film that you have. We will take a look at that. But we need to see it. The city needs to see it and evaluate it to determine whether or not there is a defect or whether or not the pipe is no longer defective. That's where we are at the moment.
Mr. Chairman, may I add, just for Mr. Griffin's benefit?
Yes.
The report that you submitted and that shows you paid $285 does not have a statement, as Mr. Washington kept asking, failed to have any statement from Mr. Goodman, the plumber, that he did not observe any defect. It said in the report that a camera was put into the lateral, but it doesn't say there was no defect. So you should be able to go back to your plumber and ask him to clarify his report and say, did you or did you not see a defect? If you didn't see a defect, please send me a revised report saying that he didn't see a defect. And by the way, if you have pictures that you took, could you provide those pictures to me so I could submit them to the city water department? If in fact there are no pictures, you can say that the pictures aren't available, but I did get a clarification of the report that the plumber Goodman wrote. That's what we're asking you to do.
And that shouldn't cost additional money for him to, I mean, he might charge you $10 to write a new letter, but that really shouldn't cost you anything
And
if he's legitimate.
Yeah. Mr. Griffin, how long do you think it'd be for you to get that information?
I have to call them and talk to them.
Okay,
I mean,
let's do this then. Let's continue this with a minimum of 30 days then, maximum of 30 days. Ms. Athanasiadis, I know this is unusual, but we're taking this position principally because Mr. Griffin has made a strong argument. We want to see this through. Okay.
That's fine. If I could just mark and move into evidence city exhibits 1 through 3.
Yes.
Please just note my objection to the continuance.
So
Mr. Griffin
noted.
had ample opportunity, but I defer obviously to the boards.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So noted. Mr. Alexander, thank you for your testimony today. If there's nothing else from anyone, we will continue this matter for a maximum of 30 days. Mr. Griffin, you understand what we've just done?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Have a good afternoon.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Wade, do we have anything else?
No.
Okay, Mr. Wade, let's see. Let's all of us go into the breakout room. I have a question for you real quick before we all leave.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kelly. We're done for today.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Everyone have a good day.